let's bring up Brother Rodney, Perez. Round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Eve. First, I'd like to really thank Lynn and the board for giving me this opportunity to come up and speak and my experiences on the streets and down in Texas at the southern border. So I'm going to share with you what has really happened at the border since the last 4 years and what's happening here in Illinois. We are a Boots on the Ground organization, so I'll go through a slideshow and all that with you. But I also like to introduce Jody. She came along, she's part of our team, and she is a prayer warrior. When we go to the streets of Chicago from 9 p.m. to about 3 a.m., the darkest streets of Chicago, she's a prayer warrior, man. When she's out there praying, those demons flee. And we'll get into a lot of that too. When I saw the list of speakers today, I was so thankful and blessed that I got to go first because my feet are not big enough to fit the shoes of Michelle Peterson. If you haven't heard her testimony and her story, I mean, she is a true mama bear. And we have a lot of mama bears in this country fighting this fight, and I tell you, Michelle Peterson is definitely one of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few things today, and I'm not a professional speaker. I don't do this often. The Lord blessed me with the opportunity to be the boots on the ground, to get into the trenches and fight the fight. So this isn't me right here. My job is on the streets, fighting the fight from Texas to Chicago. Can I have you come up, Jody? Because I'm probably going to have you go through the slide, if you could. How I started was, my other job is I'm a truck driver for Walmart. And we are very big on Truckers Against Trafficking. So back in about 2019, I went out to the truck and I drew an interest in it. And as being a retired firefighter, my job has always been to go into the schools, educate children on stop, drop, and roll, fire safety. So I've always been the type to get out there and help others, help the children. And when I saw what was happening in the industry of going into truck stops, seeing young girls out there going to other trucks, it raised awareness of what's really happening in our truck stops in America. So I drew an interest there. And then in 2020, I'm watching, right after Biden got elected, I'm watching the border open up. And I'm also seeing on Fox News a gentleman by the name of Sam Hall. He's the founder of Patriots for America. He's down at the border. There were sheriffs down there that were going to bring in and deputize other organizations, other patriots, to help secure the border because they were unmanned. They just didn't have enough manpower to patrol the border. So Sam Hall was on Fox News, and I'm sitting in my living room in Illinois, and I'm like, I like what they're doing down there. The influx of migrants that were coming across the border, the children that were being trafficked across the border was huge. So I made contact with Sam Hall. I emailed him and I said, I really like what you're doing. I'd like to see what I can do to be involved. So he gave me a call. We had about an hour phone conversation. And he says, can you come down to Texas? I said, absolutely. Talked to my wife. I said, hey, if it's okay, I'd really like to go down to Texas and see what this is all about. Because if I can get into this fight of rescuing children, that's where I want to be. She was all supportive of it. A week later, I loaded up my car, got all my, it's open carry down there, so when we go down, we are fully tacked out. Vests, AR-15s, sidearms, and we work right alongside Border Patrol and law enforcement to patrol the border. So down in Kinney County, Texas, we met with the sheriff, Sheriff Coe, and he didn't deputize us, but we worked alongside, right? So we're going down to the border patrolling. So we're going to go to the next slide if we could. But backing up a little bit, back in December 26, 2017, I'm going to step back before I jump into the border stuff. So I saw this brothel move into town, and our population of our community is 10,000 people. And somebody sent me that message on Facebook saying, what are we going to do about what's going on? Because I was a city official at the time. I was a Peru alderman. So I contacted the city, and none of us aldermen knew that this brothel moved into town was a massage parlor. So I reached out to the chief of police, I reached out to the city council and the mayor. I said, we need to shut them down. I was looking at some of their advertisements. They were young girls, young Asian girls, that they were advertising. And they were on escort sites. When I started doing some digging into that massage parlor, they were advertising on escort sites, which that's not a legit massage parlor. So if you want to skip to the next one. February 26, 2018, they shut it down. And that's what we need to do. There are so many throughout that are throughout our communities, these little massage parlors. They're not massage parlors, they're not massage envy, they are brothels. Let's get to the next one, please. So this is when I packed up the bag, went down. That's Sam Hawley, he's the founder of Patriots for America. Right behind is the Rio Grande River. And Sam is a true patriot. We're a small organization, there's about 15 of us, and what we do is we go down to the border patrol looking for children that are unaccompanied, children that are being brought across with the cartels and coyotes, and we get those children away from them and brought to border patrol agents who we know well. Down at the Texas border, you can't trust anyone. It's hard for us to trust certain officers, certain law enforcement, certain border patrol agents, because some of them are being bought out by the cartels. So we have a team of law enforcement agents who we make contact with, and when we get children, we contact them. They come down to the border where we're at, Eagle Pass, Texas, and it's about a 7-mile stretch. So we're up and down that Eagle Pass along the Rio Grande River. You can go to the next one, please. That's Sheriff Coe. Met Sheriff Coe, and he welcomed us in. We don't do anything illegal. We're a law-abiding organization, so anything we do it legitimately. You can go to the next one, please. That was our small team there. As you can see, we don't do anything without Jesus Christ. He needs to be a part of everything that we do. We can't go to the streets, we can't go to the border, unless we pray up and get out there, because it's dangerous. There's a lot of demonic spirits out there. There's a lot of evil people out there wanting to hurt children, and people like us that go try to stop what they're doing. This is one of the first things that I saw when we first went down there. That gate there was open, and you just walk right through. This was in 2021. They just opened it up. I mean, National Guard, Border Patrol, they would see the migrants coming across the border, and they would let them go. National Guards actually showed us their magazines and their rifles. They weren't allowed to carry more than 2 rounds in their magazine. They weren't allowed to walk more than 10 feet from their Humvees. They weren't allowed to do anything. They were just there as basically showing the state and the people from the media that they were down there, but they weren't doing absolutely anything at all. This was the group of migrants that we seen come across, the little children there. A lot of these parents, a lot of these adults are bringing children across that aren't with them. A lot of coyotes and cartels, they pay off adults to get them across. And then once they get across, they are actually picked up by anybody and everybody. A lot of cartel members pick them up and they take them. And I mean, how many children were missing in the United States? Children from the border that were brought across. And they're still missing. This is Uvalde, Texas. We met with the mayor, and this is shortly after the school shooting that took place down there. We went down there because a lot of the migrants, a lot of the cartels were starting to come across the different parts of Texas into Uvalde. So we met with the mayor to see what else we could do to help. And the LA Times was down with us. She was standing back a little bit, but she came down to the border and kind of video recorded what we were doing to do a story. And let me tell you, the media, they are so corrupt. We really have to watch who we in bed with when they come down to the border. We were very fortunate that the reporter that came down with us, the journalist, she was very forthcoming for the LA Times. It was kind of, we were gifted that they sent somebody good that was going to actually give a pretty decent story on us. And she did. So Uvalde, Texas, the mayor was kind of concerned that the buses were going to start bringing the migrants and start dropping them off in his community. So we were going to prepare to patrol Uvalde, Texas, because every community was a border community. We're even a border community now, since they're all coming into our country. So the LA Times did a decent job, but at the same time, we really couldn't trust anybody. You just can't, because they want to make patriots, especially at that time, they want to make us look bad. They want to make it look like we're a militia that is radicalized, and it's not like that at all. So if you want to skip to the next one, please. We went into Mexico, and we started patrolling down at the across the border to see what was going on with where they were putting the camps and where they were lining up all the migrants at. So we went down to Mexico to kind of do some patrolling there, just to kind of get an eye on things. And let me tell you what, these cartels, these coyotes, are very dangerous individuals. So a lot of times we had to go undercover. Of course, we couldn't carry any sidearms. We had to go across with, no, we weren't armed at all, because we couldn't be. Next one, please. This is another story on the Texas border. Look at how they wrote it. Unarmed groups arrived to look for migrants. That's not the case. But they wanted to portray us as being an extremist group going down looking for migrants to kick them back across the border. Our job was to look for children who were being trafficked across the border. But of course, they wanted to make it look bad. It's for the news, right? There's another big group there. It was like this daily. Every night we would go down there. This is the type and the amount of migrants that were coming across the border, just completely open. And all that the Border Patrol would do was to get any kind of identification that they had with them, load them on buses, and then start shipping them out to other cities. Children were everywhere, little babies. I've got a video. If you ever want to follow me on Facebook, I put everything on there. I've got videos. I went live on Facebook. We've seen about 30 migrants coming across the border, my first day there. And the first thing I wanted to do, because no editing or anything, I just went Facebook Live. And I started recording the entire thing. So I'm under Rodney Elijah on Facebook if you want to go there and follow. I'm not looking for likes or anything like that. You don't need to like anything. Just go through and scroll. You can actually see what we're doing and what's going on. This family here, the little girl and the family, they said, we just want to come, we just want a better life for our children. We want a better life for our family. And there are a lot of people like that. There are a lot of people that were coming across that just wanted a better life. But there are a lot of bad, evil ones that were coming across. Ones that didn't want to be caught. Ones that didn't want to get processed. And that's the news reporter there from the LA Times. Okay, this little girl, her name is Sophia. Sophia came across the border with about 15 other adults. And the first thing they said was, do you have any food? Do you have any water? This was about 2 o'clock in the morning. So we gave her some food. We gave them some food, some water. And I gave her a little glow stick that's in her hand there. And I tell you what, I wish I would have been able to keep track with some of these migrants and some of the children that came across, because I like to really know how she's doing today. Actually, that's not Sophia. I'll show you Sophia. I don't remember that girl's name, but Sophia's coming up. So there's Sophia. We walked up and we saw a bunch of migrants. It was hot. It was about 100 degrees out. And we ran across Sophia, standing there by herself. You can go to the next one, please. Sophia was standing there all by herself, and Sam went up to her, asked her if everything was okay. She said she can't find her mom and dad. And as Sam was talking to her, a man comes up and says, "Come on, honey, let's go." And Sam says, "You're not taking her anywhere." And so Sam says, "Well, I got to get you to Border Patrol." And Border Patrol, when we called them, was about 2 miles away. And then when Sam got a hold of somebody, he had to get her a mile to where Border Patrol was going to meet us. So he carried her like that for a mile. It was over 100 degrees that day. So here's what happens with Sophia. We went and looked for her dad to see if we could find him. His name was Orlando. And we went down to the river. We were looking, and we saw a gentleman that was walking, and he said he was looking for his daughter. You can go to the next one. And so as we are, we told him we found Sophia, and he was, oh, thank you, Jesus, thank you. He goes, thank you so much. And he took 5 steps. He passed out. We tried to revive him, but unfortunately he died. There's no emergency services for miles. It would have took them forever to get to us, and we tried to do what we could to bring him back, but we couldn't. So we had to get Sophia into safe hands, and it was a sad situation. Very sad. We see this all the time. You've probably heard of rape trees. Anybody hear of rape trees? So I didn't until we started going through the wooded areas, and we ran across this, and Sam explained to me that what they do is they'll rape the women and the children, and they'll hang their undergarments on trees as trophies, basically mocking what they're doing, kind of flaunting what they're doing. We see this everywhere we went. As there at the Texas Sheriff's Department, we went there to meet a couple of the agents that we were going to be working with. If you go to the next one, please. And there is Boz and Tina. Everybody know Boz and Tina? All right, I know that Lynn's going to be talking about this later. So after I get back, 2020, I was down at the border for the 2021 up until President Trump got elected, and now there is nothing going on at the border. Nothing. It's quiet, peaceful. Nobody's being trafficked, very minimal. So I come back to Illinois, and I'm like, the fight is here. They've come to Chicago, they've come to New York, they've come to every state bordering Texas, and I had to figure out what I'm going to do back home. How can I get boots on the ground? How can I get to the streets? How can I rescue children here? But I needed to be trained up. I needed to be trained up because I knew what I was doing at the border. That was all, basic kind of militia stuff, but I needed to know how to fight the fight. And I know they're going to be having a course here in Indiana. I don't know the date on that yet. I haven't seen it. Okay, she'll touch on that. But I tell you, if you get an opportunity to get trained up and to learn more about child sex trafficking, attend the ARC training. I know Michelle hosted one last year, and that's the one I attended. I learned so much. They gave us all the tools we needed, the knowledge, and I tell you what, when I was done with that, I leveled up. There was a turning point. You all heard the word turning point over the last few weeks. There was a turning point in child sex trafficking in the organization that was going to be running here in Illinois. So Sam Hall made me the vice president of the PFA chapter in Chicago. Can go to the next one, please. 2 weeks after I got done with training, I get a phone call from a friend, acquaintance of mine. They said there's a young lady that's kind of local, and she was taken to Georgia, and she's being prostituted out of a gang house. So I says, I need to be able to reach out to her. I need to be able to talk to her. They said she's been there for 3 months, being prostituted out of this home, and they reached out to him and says, is there anybody that can help me out? I don't know, family, no friends, there's nobody else here. And I said, I need to be able to have a conversation with her. And so he reached out to her. He says she has a phone, she can't talk on the phone, but she can text. She's not allowed to go anywhere without somebody there with her. So I got my burner phone, and I text her, and I said, what can we do? How can we get you out of there? She says, well, I can't leave. If I do leave, it's going to have to be at 3 o'clock in the morning, and if I leave, I can't come back. Well, I can have you out of there within 24 hours, but you need to promise me that you're going to be where we say we're going to meet. She had to trust me as much as I trust her, because I called Walmart and I said, can I have tomorrow off work? I have something to take care of. And they said yes. So I rented a car, took a couple of my team members down, and we were down in down in Georgia within 18 hours. I told her to meet us at a certain location at 7 a.m., and thank God she was there. In fact, the team member that I was with, he says, what happens if we get there and she's not there? I said, the Lord's telling me to go. When I made a commitment to the Lord, and we get into this fight, we all heard of, I think it's Isaiah 6:8. He said, send me. Send me. I want to be the one to fight this fight. So we get down there, she's there, we picked her up, got her some food for the first time. She was very skinny, very tiny. We got her into, as soon as we got her home, they took her in for a medical evaluation, and we've been in touch ever since, and she's doing great. And this was just a little over a year ago. We got her home. She's raising her daughter and working at a Dunkin' Donuts. So, very thankful for everything I learned at the art training, because without that training, without the tools that they gave, this would have been a lot difficult, because there are certain things that they teach you that you have to do when you pick up a survivor. And so that was a success, so we're very fortunate. That everything happens in God's timing, right? He sent me to that course right when I needed it the most. This is the streets of Chicago. We go out to the streets of Chicago, the darkest, most evil places that you can think of. Gangs, pimps, prostitutes. Our goal and our mission is to rescue them, but it has to be on their time, right? When they're ready to go, we're going to be there to take them. And that's one of the things that I've been hoping to learn here more today. The more places that, let me back up. The hardest thing for us right now is trying to find out where we can take these girls to, where we can take these children to. It's limited. It's so limited throughout the United States. Safe houses, places where we can take them for detox and rehab. Because a lot of the girls that we see, these are more higher end girls that work in a certain area. And a lot of these have the pimps and the gangs. So we take our team of women, Jody's one of them, and we take that opportunity to witness to them, let them know that, hey, if you ever want to go off the streets, just let us know. I'm the minister of our Abundant Life Street Ministry team, so we go up every other Saturday just to take food for the homeless, clothes, drinks, and prayer. And during that time, when we're feeding the homeless, we run across a lot of the women who are also being prostituted by their boyfriends, and that's how they make the money for their drugs. So our goal and our mission is to try to save them and get them off the streets as well. You go to the next one. So this young lady here, that's Carrie's part of the team. We ran across her, and at first she was very standoffish. She didn't want to talk to us. Then we saw her the following weekend, and she opened up, and I believe now she's off the streets and staying off the streets. But it's a challenge, because a lot of these women are being so heavily groomed into the sex trafficking industry that their pimps don't let them go. It's a fight to let them go. It's slavery. It's truly slavery. And I've had an opportunity to talk to a couple of Johns that would stop to pick up these girls. And I explained to them, this is paid rape. Do you understand that you are paying to rape this young lady, this young child? You're paying to rape them. And when we had a conversation, they said they never looked at it that way. They thought that these women want to do this. I said, do you actually think that a young girl at the age of 6 or 7 years old wakes up, says, when I grow up, I want to be a prostitute, I want to get raped by old big men from truck stops or wherever? Absolutely not. They're groomed into this. It's sex slavery. Very passionate. This is another one we ran across. Our team members praying with her. And the first thing we asked them, is there anything that we can pray for you? Is there anything that you need? Every one of them says safety. Pray for our safety. Because they know that they're trapped in this industry. And they don't know who they can trust. They can't trust law enforcement, because what happens is law enforcement comes, maybe arrests them, takes them in and releases them right back to their pen. And so they're trapped. They don't know who they can trust. They can't trust law enforcement. Law enforcement are paid off. Area that we go to on Cicero Avenue, these women are standing out there just like that, and they just let them go. They don't care. They don't ask questions. They just leave them be. This is another area that we go to. Like I said, we're there late at night, early in the morning. These two girls here, they were homeless, living on the streets, and they prostitute to make the money for their drugs. and survive. So we've been working on these two. We've been seeing them regularly. A lot of these girls that I'm showing you, we ask them if it's okay if we take their pictures. These two girls, absolutely. They don't have a problem with it. So any girls that we don't post, we don't do anything like that we don't want to just expose anybody, but there's a story to tell. People need to see what is actually happening. If we don't have the videos, if we don't have the photos to show what's really happening on these streets, nobody's really going to get it, nobody's going to understand. Because I can sit up here and talk all day, and if you can't see what I'm saying, it's going to be harder to grasp what's really happening out on these streets. Then we break into Street Grace Cyber Patrol Transaction Intercept. I also learned this at the ARC training. Street Grace is part of ARC. They come in another presentation of what they do, and it's Cyber Patrol. So I have a team, every other Saturday we get on the internet, and Transaction Intercept, we intercept these men from buying sex from women. So Street Grace works right alongside with Microsoft. They build a program that actually has decoys on these escort sites. So when men call or text in to try to set up a date with a woman, we intercept that, and we have a conversation with them. We're not law enforcement, we don't tell them we're law enforcement, but we are a ministry. We've had opportunities to be able to witness to some of these men, to try to turn their lives around, to get off of porn sites, to get off of dating women on these escort sites. I had one man that was, he lived about, you know where Morris, Illinois is there, Michelle? Lives in Morris, Illinois. I saw him come across the board, and I intercepted it, because first the bot takes over. There's a bot that does it, and then I intercept that, and then I have the communications. And so I said to him, I said, you know, we're not law enforcement, but I'd like to have a conversation with you. What you're doing is illegal, and this could get you in a lot of trouble. This could ruin your life tomorrow. He texts back and says, I just wanted one last hurrah. And mind you, thank you, mind you that this girl that he was trying to pick up was 14 years old. He wanted her to come to his apartment. I had the address, I had the phone number, I have his name, because it pops up on the side screen there. And I said, hey, you don't need to do this. I says, let's have a conversation. And like I said, he said, all I want to do is one last hurrah before I blow my brains out. I texted back and I said, hey, you don't need to do that. We're not law enforcement, you're not in trouble. Let's just have a conversation. He never wrote back. I tried again, he never wrote back. I tried again, he never wrote back. So I called the Morris Police Department, gave them all the information, told them who we are, what we're doing, and they called me back later, and they said, thank you for calling it in. We got to his house, and he was suicidal. He's still alive, and he went in for a medical evaluation. There's a lot of troubled people out there. This is what and I got permission to be able to show this. I contacted Nick Lembo to ask him if it's okay if I show a couple of these slides. So if you click onto that picture right there, a lot of these men send pictures of their private parts. And that's a felony right off the bat. So when men start doing that, they're soliciting minors, we send all that information to law enforcement and let them handle it. We're just there to interrupt. He wanted to go pick her up himself. He was going to send an Uber. We had one man that actually sent an Uber to pick up a young girl, 16-year-old, at a hotel to bring her back. So the fight is huge, from the streets, from the border, to the internet. And our organization tries to get it on every end, from the supply and the demand, because they're both there and they both need to be tackled. The porn industry is huge, and that is the underlying foundation of the sex trafficking industry, is pornography. Because these men get on porn sites and they start fantasizing, pretty soon they're needing to fulfill that fantasy that they have. So they start doing all this. So that's all I have. I just want to thank you again for being here and taking the year. So thank you so much.